We are proud to present the Discovery Lacrosse Head, an all-new and innovative lacrosse head designed for the do-it-all lacrosse player. Built for use by any player at any age looking to unlock their highest potential. The Discovery Lacrosse Head provides improved ball control, increased accuracy, and handling with our shift throat technology. Discovery's sleek and lightweight design make it the perfect choice for any player looking to unlock their elite level performance. So don't wait, join the Relax Sports team and discover your true lacrosse potential with our Discovery Lacrosse Head.
Beltway Lacrosse, proud supporter of the NABLL, wishing all the teams good luck at Nationals. Looking forward to lots more indoor and outdoor lacrosse in 2024. Beltway is the unrivaled adult lacrosse provider in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Quick salute to our players from the Cannons, Arrows, Bears, and Wild on a great summer. Hello to our college players watching from the dorms. Our NCBS division has grown rapidly. Look for more box lacrosse from the Gales, Grays, and Chesapeake Bird Dogs, driving the Beltway for the best in DMV lacrosse.
I had myself muted again. Surprise, surprise. Hello, everybody, and we are live, but everybody else disappeared off of my my map there for a second, but now I got them all back. What's happening?
Hey, great to be here.
So Rachel was just taking another selfie in case anybody was surprised. What was the count at, Rachel? We got to know.
72.
72 selfies in 3 days. That's got to be some kind of record. So
just until next year.
So Ryan, congratulations. You guys are the reigning defending champions. You were the goalie last year as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So 2 years in a row of the NABLL. How does it feel to be the only goalie that's ever won an NABLL trophy?
Could have prepped me for that one.
I did not at all. I'm sorry.
Just throw me right out there. No, it's all good. I mean, it feels awesome. Like anytime I can get out and play lacrosse in general, I'm happy. The older I get, the more I appreciate every minute I can play on the floor, and being able to be part of the Wild is special. And I'm happy every single second I can do it. And being able to win championships with the Wild is even better. So, I mean, it just feels great.
Absolutely. And so, Rachel, I got to ask, we'll go with you first. Year 2 NABLL Nationals, what are your initial thoughts as it was wrapping up Sunday? I saw you. You seemed very excited with everything. So, I mean, I might as well just let you, run with it.
I am 0% disappointed. Rich can probably attest. I don't say that very often. Everyone came together. Our staff showed up, our trainers showed up. I feel like all the teams had a good time. Everyone was super kind off the floor. The fans liked it. The facility ended up to being fantastic to work with. Other than a few travel hitches, which I don't think, greatly impacted the outcome of the games, just the lead time ahead of them. I am so pleased. I hope everyone else is too, but as the keeper of all the loose ends, I'm really delighted with how it all ended up.
I gotta say, as the festival manager, she did a phenomenal job. I walked into her carrying scaffolding pieces and high heels, and it was really amazing how many different hats she wore. She had to organize so many different volunteers. We had 2 rinks going, media for both rinks. You had Midbow's wife at one point during the game. She's got in one hand, she's got the score clock. In her left hand, she's got the shot clock. With her left foot, she's shutting the penalty box door. It was crazy. It was so much fun to do it. But kudos to Rachel for kind of keeping all the madness contained and having a smile on her face the whole time, and just being like the hostess with the mostest. It was funny. She's just so happy and giggly and wanting the selfies and just making sure all the boys were having a good time. So it was really a heck of an experience. So great weekend for everybody.
It really was.
Thank you. I loved it.
And you kind of answered my next question there. So running the 2 rinks for the pool play, Rich, you must have felt like you were out of your mind, because I know as it was going, it was like, hey, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. Looking back at it now, if you're going to do that again, are you doing 2 rinks like that again? Or, I mean,
need
just for
another
Rich
beacher.
Hodge.
Like
Yeah.
you guys need to like start having more kids and stuff. So I have a whole film crew for the other rink. No, I'm only kidding. But I realized how hard it is to do what you guys do. Like we showed up, I thought I was totally prepared. I had the tripod, I had the stand for the camera, had my iPhone hooked up, and then Tim and I realized that my phone had too many Instagram accounts on it, so I couldn't add the NABLL one. So I had to like go with my Beltway one, which is the field league that I use back home, and then try and tag NABLL during the game. And we did the whole game, and I'm operating the tripod and stuff, and it was craziness, but it was a lot of fun. I don't know, it's pretty wild, Greg. Like what you guys do, you and the missus do, you make it look so easy, and I was like full panic, and then I'm like standing on top of the scorers area. Both
Yes.
benches are next to me. I'm like 300 pounds, and I'm like, like, please stop swearing. And the boys are like yelling at the shot clock first, and I'm like, they're volunteers. Leave them alone.
They're gonna quit. Stop it.
Lots of fun. Yeah.
Starting out on 2 rinks though made Saturday feel like a walk in the park. I must have run 3 miles on my heels Friday night because of course the scoring tables were on the outside of the furthest rinks apart. So I would be like, what do you guys need? What do you guys need? What do you guys need? I think I watched 20 minutes of lacrosse on Friday night. Like by the time Saturday rolled around, everyone's like, are you good? I'm like, I'm so good. There's one game, one set. Like, we're great.
We're good. This is so easy.
I got to tell you, Rich, we started our very first game was at Collar City, and that's what it was I was on the tripod with just my cell phone on that mount going like that, and then Paul called because of something that happened during the game and was like, hey, can you send me that clip? And that's actually really how me and Paul ended up getting hooked back up, and I started getting down to the Eddie games because he was like, the Nexus Center has a really nice camera, come operate it. It took about 30 seconds to realize that Charity should be or for us to realize, she should be the one operating the camera. I'm not built for standing in one place and concentrating that much. I love watching lacrosse. I can make highlights like when you watch Brian, make a beautiful save, I can clip that because I can remember, oh, that was awesome, I want to save that. But I mean, trying to sit there and focus on it, I'd still be watching him afterwards like, yeah, instead of catching the play that now happened on the other end with a breakaway. So yeah, I don't know how she does.
A great team. She did a wonderful job, I swear. Like she just, your wife's amazing. She's always smiling, chilling, just up there in the bird's nest, just shooting the games. Just she loves it. So it's great you guys can do this together.
Yeah,
hearing how crazy this was, the way that you guys were all running around and all the difficult things you had to do. Understand from our perspective, we had no idea that anybody was scrambling for anything. Like the game started on, you guys were like Mussolini. The game started on time. The referee, the officiating was great. All right, everything worked, but we didn't have to worry about anything. We always had a place for our stuff. Like we didn't know that there was any craziness going on, because if you guys did it, you held that Herculean weight and you allowed us just to play lacrosse, which I mean,
that was the goal.
Thank you all for that. The fact that the amount of,
that's the best thing you could have said, Brian, literally.
Yeah, really.
I think I said it last year, and I'll probably say it next year, but the amount of work that you guys put in, that everybody behind the scenes and behind the glass that the league puts in, so people like me and the Wild can pay and play, and then a lot of other the schematics are just covered by other people behind the scenes. They're the ones that make and break it, because I just pay and show up and play. I don't have to worry about that because I'm confident in all of the things that you guys are doing, and it's thank everybody for that.
Yeah, to Rachel's credit, I'm just gonna like throw this out here. We had many injuries. We had many guys that came out with a busted eyebrow or a chin, or
so many chins.
So many chins, blood. Fully certain. We had a trainer every single minute. We did not have any gaps. Rachel made sure that there was like a very qualified trainer, ATC, every minute of whether that we had a trainer like in the box at one point. He was so excited to be in there addressing all the concerns. So it was very cool to see. We're getting a lot more professional. We now know what we didn't know last year, and we've grown so much since Lakeland, right? Like we're getting it done. So it's a good feeling to have.
Well, last year's facility had an in-house trainer, so I didn't have to do any searching. This year, I'm just gonna quick shout out Lewis University is where my son is going, and Joe Peruzzi hooked me up with their trainer. So Sydney was there for 2 of our shifts, and then the trainer who was at Lewis before her, Brandon, and his colleague Jennifer covered the other 2. So we had really like top-notch collegiate trainers there. But like, I won't play with the trainer. You guys, it's a rough game, and you're grown men who are like have a goal, and even in our own games, like there's a lot of blood, and so I won't play without a trainer. I want you guys to play without one either. So we were very lucky for some really skilled individuals.
We appreciate that a lot, and we got a lot of use out of that.
We did.
I was going to
We
say,
did.
Yeah,
the trainer was very busy watching the athletic trainer. Now, I was going to ask you that, Brian. Now, how did you feel as a player? Because you're the only one of us that was out there on the floor. I know for me personally, this schedule was amazing. Me and Mrs. Beecher had a great time as far as we were out early Saturday. We got to have dinner. I got to make a couple highlights going into Sunday. It was a lot better for me. How did you feel as a player that it went?
Oh, it was awesome. And just to let everyone know, we did make everybody on the Wild made our flights home. And we made it there in more than enough time. I think we were a little more
Plenty
nervous
of
than we
airport
had
beers
been.
were consumed, I hope.
The airport was horribly crowded, but by the time we all got to the airport, the majority of us were just having trouble standing. So we were just kind of trying. And I'm a teacher, and yesterday was my first day back to school with kids. So I got home to my house at about 1:45 on Monday morning, and then my first period started at 7:45 yesterday morning. So I'm still
Morning,
catching up
kids.
on. Yeah, I know. Hey, how you doing?
Oh
But
man, that must have been awesome.
yeah, the schedule was incredible. We knew that we all got in early because everybody has, we're all from Maryland. Everybody has to take off Friday, so we got an early flight in. We went straight to got our rental cars, went straight to downtown Chicago, and then we were there until later than we should have been. So we just drove straight to the arena. And I remember we had a 5:10 game on Friday, and I went to get measured by the referees at about 4:59. So we we had these grand plans to get to the Airbnb and take a nap and everything, and then Navy Pier got in the way. So but then we knew that if we took care of business on Friday and did well in the play-in games, that we already knew that we wouldn't have to play until like noon on Saturday. So excuse me. I mean, of course you want to win every time you step on the floor and play as hard as you can, but the extra added incentive that like, you can have a nice long night if you want, and then you can sleep in the next day was pretty great.
Talk a little bit about those playing games and like the frantic pace. I know like that was one of the biggest things that people talked about was like all the teams were good. There were no easy outs. Those first few games were like, I mean, just shotgun speed. Like everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, just frenetic pace of the game." Talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, it was 2:15s, correct? Or was it 2:12s? Do you remember?
12s. They were
That was so
12s.
long ago.
No, yeah, they were 12s.
Feels like
No,
forever.
we did 12s, we did
Yeah.
10s, we did 8s, we did 15s. We played everything
Okay.
because we ended up with a 16-minute
Okay.
halftime with the Collar City, but the play-in games were originally 12 for everybody else.
Yeah. Those
Thanks,
playing games were, yeah, well said. I'm glad you remember. Like I certainly did. But it definitely added to like the crescendo of the weekend. And like the weekend started kind of, it was those games that are so fast. It's just who can play fast, who's got if it's 12, who's got the best 24 or who's got the best 12 offensive defensive shifts in the half. And luckily, we also have 2 incredible face-off players in Chris Parrott and Sam Hitt. And the way that they win face-offs is just, I never really have to worry that much if I let a goal in or if I let a couple of goals in, because I know that if something happens and I can't manufacture stops, then Parrott Hit are going to be able to get them. And if there's any 50-50 balls, Spencer's out there, Reed Sharkonis is out there, Mitchell Howell's out there, Chad Patterson. The guys just are all about getting ground balls. And when you can play fast like that and manufacture possession, those short games, you really only have to score a couple goals before it kind of gets out of reach for the other team. But I really enjoyed playing both the teams we played. It's cool playing the team from Austin. I mean, it's pretty awesome that they're coming out here and competing. And there's some pretty good players. I know the first shot of the game that Austin shot on me burned a corner over my shoulder, and I kind of thought, oh, I might be in a little bit of
I'm in the
trouble
ball
here.
game, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
I wasn't ready for that.
I was gonna say, like when we played those guys in Lakeland, when we went down with the Bears, and they were an okay team, but I was telling the guys, like, you guys are dramatically better than you were 2 years ago, when you were down in Florida. Like, this is a much better team. You guys are way more talented than the last time I saw you. They unfortunately drew like the pool of death. The Scorpions like walked away feeling like, man, we really got, housed in some games. But I was trying to tell them, like, you guys are a much, much better team. And I hope they walked away feeling like, they accomplished a lot. And I think there were quite a few smiles on their faces as they were leaving and whatnot. So, it was really good to see how much they've developed in a few years, and that region's, developing quickly, which is great.
They're a great group of guys. I enjoyed hanging out with everybody, but it was fun to meet those first year teams. Well, first year to us, some of them aren't first year, but first year to us. It was fun to make their acquaintance and get to know them, because of course I talked to everybody via email, but to actually hang out for a second they were a really fun group of guys.
That's a really big thing to do it in real life, right? You move from digital to in real life, and the kind of digital community goes to real life. It's cool.
And I meet so many people digitally, and it's terrible because I'm awful with names. But here is somebody, Brian. I need you to hook me up with this guy, Spencer Love. I need to make sure he sees these videos because this was amazing. This was my favorite part. I honestly have been looking forward to it since we bought this camera. I was like, I really hope Westminster makes it, because I felt terrible that he had a backflip the year before and it did not look good because the camera wasn't great. And here he comes on the backflip now. I've been waiting for it. It was my big moment really at the tournament.
Mr. Do everything, right?
But yeah, where did he come from? I got to get set up with this guy eventually. He is one of those players. As a goalie, it must be nice having him because he gets back, he gets ground balls, he is everywhere.
It's great having him as a player, but he's an even better guy than he is a player. Spencer is he's one of the funniest, most personable. He's up early, he stays out late. I don't understand how it works. On Sunday morning, he got up early and rode a Razor scooter that was at our house 3 miles to go to church, and then called me and had me pick him up to go home. The guy's the Energizer Bunny. He's the muscle hamster. He doesn't stop. He played it at Winters Mill in Carroll County, tore it up, played at Frostburg and did great there. And I'm not sure how he landed with Westminster, because to be honest, sometimes I'm not sure how I landed with Westminster. They all know each other, and I just kind of glommed my way in like an amoeba or something, but they just embrace everybody with open arms. But yeah, I can tell you for a fact, Greg, Spencer has had that video sent to him more than 10 times today, just in the group chats that I'm in, and I'm not even in all the good ones.
That's awesome. I'm just glad he's got it because, like I said, I really was pumped when he did it, and I couldn't get the thing clipped, of course, while I was watching it because I was too excited. I saw it happen. I was like, yeah, then I missed the button on my keyboard. So then by the time I hit the actual right button, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm getting all the highlights. And actually, then I had to do a couple more because I couldn't only do the backflip highlight. Everybody's like, we've got a whole lacrosse tournament. The only thing you're going to clip is this guy doing a backflip. But thankfully, how about some of the shooters? What did you feel as a goalie going against guys? Obviously with your team, you've got a lot of field players, but some of these guys with the behind the back shots, is that something you see a lot down below? You guys have adjusted really fast too. Obviously you could handle it.
Yeah. Thank you. The greatest tool that I've had is the practices with my team. So guys, like, I get warmed up and I probably see hundreds of shots every practice. My gear is terrible after every practice. It's 20 pounds heavier. It gained 18 pounds between when I waited on Friday and on Sunday, just for the record. But yeah, absolutely. It's all dry now. It's over there, and got the dehumidifier on it. Just turned it off so it wouldn't be buzzing in the background. But the guys that on the Wild, just guys like Joel Tinney, Hunter Davis, Willie Smith, Kyle Worsley, Brendan Mullally, Nate Nibelink, like those guys, and Spencer can just shoot the lights out of the ball. And having to be able to survive practice against those guys and not just get roasted for the next week in the group me, I really had to elevate my game. So like I'm really a true believer that I think the best competition I saw all year was at our practices at Alpha Ridge. And that's not trying to take anything away from any of the awesome teams we played, some of the tough, talented teams. But the best shots I saw all year came from the wild guys at practice.
That's fair. You got some shooters on that team.
I mean, you really
Tell me
can't
about
say
it.
anything. You are the most. Nobody wanted to give you guys credit. Tim wanted to knock you guys down in the rankings. I mean, you guys quietly win games, and it's not even close. I've said it, and I said it a bunch of times on the broadcast. I got lucky enough. We went down and covered that Delaware Box Classic there, and that was wicked cool. But we got to watch you guys, and I was like, wait, I know this team, and it was awesome because I knew a couple of the guys' names. But down there, it's the same thing. You guys just continually tear it up and quietly do it, and it's just now you guys, like you said, you're a lot of field players, but me and you kind of talked about it before, spreading out. I mean, how frustrating is that as you get to watch the defense deal with your offense, like so spread out?
Oh, when I watch, like when I'm in the crease and I get to watch our offense put guys in blenders, it's I feel bad for the defense. I feel bad for the other goalies, and not saying it like in a cocky way, but because I have to try and track them when they run 2-on-1s in practice, and they got me turning around like I don't know which way is left and which way is right. So it's the way that our offense, they we try to set picks at the boards, and we try to do that so we can get more space to the middle free. And if they push out too far, we have so many guys that if they try to play them all the way at the boards, they'll just run by him. I mean, Joel can run under anybody. Spencer and Mitchell can pretty much run under anybody. And then if they close that down, those guys just pass the ball to the other side and just get everybody spinning there. And everybody on the team on the offense can take the ball and shoot it from the outside. And I think, Greg, you were saying it before we went live, but an outside shot from the Wild is a little different than what we'd say is an outside shot from a normal box team. Like our outside shots come from pretty far, but as someone who's been getting ripped on by those guys in practice for 2 years now, it doesn't really matter how far they are. Like they're bringing them hard and they're bringing them to the pipes.
Yeah, they're shooting from outside that yellow arc, which is something you saw sometimes, but you didn't really see any team consistently shoot. And I laughed because Scott kept saying it. He said, as soon as you guys got out of the floor, he said, I've played these guys a million times. You need to be on their hands from outside that yellow line. You can't give them an inch. But then you run into that problem like you're talking. It's the ball movement. We love seeing it. So now, 2 years into the NABLL, you've gotten out to the Nationals again. If I mean, essentially, how do you compare this league compared to other leagues? Like we've talked a little bit about it, like with the organization and stuff, but like, what is it that like the divisions? Everybody kind of does it differently. I mean, do you enjoy that? How you guys kind of do your own thing, and then everybody gets to do their each division thing, and then get out there? Because I love how you guys play your divisional games.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I feel like our division, top to bottom, all four teams could have competed out at nationals, and that's not really just window dressing or anything. Because I think that our teams, I mean, especially DC, I mean, and the Arrows and the Cannons, but DC gives us very tough games. And I think that when we get to kind of sharpen, iron sharpens iron, and then you get to go out and play just completely different teams that play different styles. They're from different places. They have different fans. It's really pretty awesome. It's about all you can ask for in post collegiate lacrosse, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
Agreed. I mean, like it's one of the more exciting post collegiate leagues I think in the country. Most guys just don't have these opportunities. We're from the East, but I think it's so cool that everybody from all over North America, the United States, can come together and play such a competitive tournament. It's just rare you can do anything like that post collegiately. Normally, I mean, it's like a beer league, right? It's like not, it's a tournament or it's a game, but it's just not that competitive. And I think what we saw this weekend was like the pinnacle. I mean, that championship game, the semifinal, even the quarters. I mean, the quarterfinal game, I
Those are the
thought was
spiciest
just
ones.
absolutely intense and worth its weight in gold. So
I just
one of
couldn't
the things
play
that,
Tim's. I'm sorry, I just couldn't play Tim's highlights until he comes back with that penalty shot game. So that's yeah, we've got the championship game highlights that'll be playing up underneath us. But like you said, every game in there, you couldn't have asked for a better setup from our end of it for production, though. I mean, every game went right down to the end, and even in the championship game, I mean, yeah, the Wild had a cushion the whole time, but right up until it was like 5 minutes left when they scored that goal on the crease. For me, at least, it felt like okay, the spirits are still in this. And then it kind of they scored, and then when Westminster answered immediately, it kind of took the air like out of the room, at least as far as I felt. And but the rest of the tournament, like you said, the parity in this league, everybody felt like they could have been in there and won.
there was definitely a point in that fourth quarter where the Spirits definitely were building some momentum. The Wild, the second chance opportunities, ground balls, Spencer digging one out of the corner in a critical time. There were some things that happened where they just kind of like stopped the mo. But, one of the things I wanted to ask Brian about, your defense, I think, gets overlooked sometimes. One of the things I thought in that game was like, they really, really stood up and were very stout. I think a lot of people thought that the Spirits were going to run them over in that first quarter. I was really, really impressed with how well and how physical they were down low. Talk a little bit about that, and even them clearing the ball, like they were really, really strong clearing that ball through the pressure.
Yeah, I think I agree, and thank you for any compliments you'll ever send my way. But there's definitely a lot of people outside of the Wild locker room that thought that the Spirits offense were going to run us over. And I mean, they're a big time talented team, a lot of big names, a lot of big shots, a lot of flashy stick work. But I mean, our defense is guys like Joey Fiorino, Reed Charconis, Chad Patterson, Mike Adler. They're not only extremely physical, but they're extremely fast too. And they really are committed to staying the course of playing the way we play, which is, we fight through picks, we keep an anchor. And if there's a guy on the backside, we build the wall. And we really crescendoed and peaked at the correct time. And I felt the same way against Maine last year, where, we had played a pretty good tournament and, done really well. But then, Maine was Maine. And then I remember we scored, I think, 5 or 6 of our first 7 or 8 shots. And it was kind of like, okay, we're playing good lacrosse. Like when Thousand Island came down, and I mean, they didn't score until a little bit into the second quarter. We were feeling pretty good about ourselves because I think their offense was really trying to get close and respect any offense. Everybody wants to get it on the doorstep, and the defense was able to kind of keep them at bay. And then the saves that I made in the first quarter were from a little bit further out, and I think that kind of frustrated some of the shooters. I know if I were a shooter, I'd have been a little frustrated if you can't get inside and the outside shots aren't really dropping that well. But yeah, our defense is just they're fast, they're big, and then when guys like Reed get the ball and an attackman is in his way in the clear, it's not going to be a good time for the attackman. We have guys that will just run through guys and run them over and not really feel too bad about it.
No,
I feel lucky to be
Fiorino.
on that side of the ball.
Yeah. Fiorino is one of those underrated players. Like as soon as you said his name, I was like, you watch him, and he gets the ball, and nobody will ever probably talk about a defenseman's stick work, but he does not lose it very often coming up on transition. Very responsible. You don't see him come up and take the shot very often, but like he just very responsible with the ball as far as making sure it doesn't go the other way, doesn't lose it, and just gets it up. And like you said, that whole team mentality, the way your team plays transition, it's very unselfish transition ball. You don't see the guy going like you'll have a guy who breaks occasionally, but more likely than not, they're looking for the guy, or you'll even see him crisscross to draw the defender over. And one of the highlights that we've got, I saw it, and it was really impressed because the guy with the ball came over, dragging the defender all the way over to give the guy the open shot coming off the bench for the offenseman. And then you're like, wow, that's just super unselfish, smart, high IQ play. And it speaks volumes as to why you guys are, two-time champions.
Yeah, I mean, we always joke about it and say we got a team full of wee guys, and we got a team full of guys who really just everybody kind of trusts in each other's abilities, and it helps that they happen to be really talented too. So I know if I make a mistake, I don't have to worry about it for too long because someone's going to have my back, and vice versa.
I think one thing that really helps your chemistry and your level of play is how much you stay together in the off season. People ask questions about, why are you so good? And I was like, well, if you play together, 8-10 months out of the year versus just the short season we have in the summer, like there's no substitute for that. Like just the more you play together, the more chemistry you develop and the more you trust each other, like to make those unselfish plays. Cause sometimes it comes down to like, I'm going to put it in the net because I don't think he can. And if because you've got all this off season play as well as in season, you develop a level of chemistry and trust in your team that you can use your full shot clock. You can trust that guy to handle the ball through transition. Like I think there's a level that you guys get to have with all those, because I mean, you did a bunch of them and just really stayed together throughout the year. And there's really no substitute for that.
I gotta say, there's nothing worse than pulling up to a tournament and seeing the Wild.
I'll take that as a compliment, Rich.
But you also have to see him all year, Rich. You guys play against him. Now, he was telling me a little bit, you guys play in the one facility. I mean, that is a pretty cool setup if you really think about it, because everybody gets to watch each other play and knows kind of what's going on. It's a really unique thing. I wonder if anybody else does anything like that or if you guys are the only division.
I don't know if anyone does that. So, like, we tried to have games over the weekend the year before, and the players just, I don't know, like where we live, there's just a lot of lacrosse that gets played. There's a lot of field. A lot of the boys make money on the side as travel coaches and stuff. So, like literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they travel every weekend. Annapolis, Ocean City, New Jersey, Delaware. Like they are on like for probably from Memorial Day all the way through the middle of June, really. And so the year before we were trying to do weekend double headers, and it didn't really work. There were a lot of guys that just weren't able to make games, and it didn't make for a lot of fun. Like you want all the best guys to be able to play. Thursday nights were good. It didn't interfere with the family activities. Just seemed like a really good night. So I think sometimes we would do Tuesdays, but for the most parts, they were all on Thursdays. Scott Joyner was able to work with the Columbia ice rink. They melt their ice like right after like right around, I think it was the 4th of July or something. So I melt their ice. We get it for like, I think 4 to 6 weeks. And then, once, I mean, literally like we give it 2 or 3 days to dry. There's still condensation on it the first couple of days because it's still cold. And it's still not our favorite time to play on it, but we have a limited window. But it is fun. It is cool to get to watch the guys. It's great to have the college guys come in and play. We have the NCBF guys now that play in the same barn, and they get to watch the older guys play as well. So I think we're hoping to add like 2 more teams hopefully this year. So it's always cool to all the boys are kind of around and beers are consumed and deleted after games, whatnot. So it is a fun place to play. So.
Yeah, that's neat. And the college kids. So I think that's really, everybody talks about growing box lacrosse in North America. I mean, really getting the youth into it and getting, the box kids into it, or like the Can-Am set up with all the youth teams is really the only way you're ever going to grow, the American version of box. But I mean, that being said, now, Brian, what is it like showing up to nationals from one of these areas that's not supposed to be good at box lacrosse, and yet you guys have won it 2 years in a row now? I mean, you're awful far away from Canada to even know what box lacrosse is, really.
Sure. I think that we understand that when we came in, this year there was going to be a target on our back, and rightfully so. And it'll be the same story next year. And we just kind of embraced it and just knew that if we played good lacrosse and were unselfish and backed each other up and played hard and really gave it our all, then we were going to be just fine. We didn't really worry, who was coming from where, who had the best following, who had the most fans. We just kind of worried about, as long as we could execute our game plan and really just play as hard and as well as we know we can, then it doesn't really matter where we came from. And yeah, all our guys are field guys, except for, I mean, Joel. Joel's the only person that I guess played box really growing up, because he's the only one that would have been able to. But all the our guys are definitely field guys, but I mean, they know how to play box lacrosse very well. Like we don't play field inside. Like we run box, and they're just such talented lacrosse players and athletes, that they can just, with a lot of guys with their athleticism, like Spencer Love and Mitchell Howell, are able to ride and, get 2 or 3 possessions a game. And Willie Smith are able to get us 2 or 3 possessions every game just by not letting the defense clear on the other side. And things like that are huge when you win 75% of the faceoffs, because Chris Parrott and Sam Hitt are, once they get humming, it's hard to stop them. So yeah, like it's I mean, it might be frustrating for some of the other teams that are a little bit more well versed in box, but we don't really worry too much about it. We just try to go out and play hard and trust the process.
Absolutely. Now, we got Jobson in the chats there. He's asked about growing the game down there, what you guys are doing. Now, you talked about the NCBS. Now, that's something that you guys play in the same box. That's the college kids. What else is there going on down there for youth box lacrosse that you guys like? Is there youth leagues, or is it mainly still field, and then as the kids get older, they get to play box?
I mean, we really haven't tapped into the youth stuff yet. I think that's something, with Brady and Scott and Tony, and Andrew, as we build our region, that's definitely something we want to do. And one of the hardest things with these college guys is, like, Joel was coaching them this summer, but like it's hard to take them for a few weeks in the summer and make a box player, right? Like, he's getting them and he's trying to teach them these things, but every practice he has to kind of rebuild them, because they go back and do field things, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, you guys aren't doing this or that. So
Stop doing field things.
yeah, exactly. We have had conversations. I think one of the hardest things we struggle with is we just don't have barns. We have portable rink systems in the communities. Baltimore's got a few more barns than we have. But I'll be quite honest, like in the summertime, it would be challenging for us to get a lot of the travel kids to come over. There's just so much of that opportunity. I think, like, I always tell people, like, if you're recruiting lacrosse players, you're not going to get a lot of guys. You're going to get the guys that are built different. You're going to get that 20% that are just, they're the Spencer Loves of the world, that are just gritty, and they do things a little different, and they don't mind getting roughed up a bit. And they want that ground ball and they want that goal. They'll do whatever it takes to get it. So, I think that is kind of the next evolution in these regions, is trying to help develop and build the youth programs. But it does take time. And, around where we live, there's just so much field stuff going on, so much travel. You really have to have, like, a very committed group of parents and kids that want to pursue, the box lacrosse stuff.
Well,
No,
so here we play youth box in the winter. So which is a challenge in Minnesota, because they freeze everything. Because we play hockey, but there's a few, and I know like you said, facilities are just difficult to come by, and that's a problem. I think, like a lot of our teams around the whole country, the facilities are hard to come by. But we play youth box in the winter. Like, their travel tournaments are in January and February. So, because same thing, like here, the travel field is huge, and so in order to add summer box, you would have to subtract from summer field, and so they play in the winter. So it's a challenge, because, like I said, they freeze everything. But the 2 places we have with an actual box indoors that don't freeze it get a lot of action.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting in the future if USA Lacrosse can kind of like narrow or build like a specific calendar for box and field and travel and rec. Like, those, if they can kind of get everyone in their lanes and help the parents and kids understand where they need to be from a developmental standpoint. I always think, like, for me, I always think box is the best for the multi-sport athletes, the guys that don't get the, the football players, the wrestlers, the basketball guys that they're not going to have opportunities to play travel, and like the rink can always be there for them. Like that's box can always be there for those guys that are kind of the rebels. So
It makes a lot of sense though. I mean, because for the most part, when you look at the athletes that you've got out there, and especially for goalies, no offense, Brian, but none of you guys are quite normal to begin with. I mean, usually I find the weirder they are, the better the goalie they are. But I mean, I,
in Cooch's defense, he's about as normal as they come. Okay, he's
I
like
was waiting.
he
I
is
figured he
super
was.
normal.
I just figured he was really good at
Yeah.
hiding it. I thought maybe he's a school teacher, so he's really good at putting on the show where he can just pretend like he's normal for like an hour, 45 minutes. I figured he must do it 6 hours a day. He'd have us all fooled.
Yeah, I certainly had to put on the face yesterday that when I came in and some kid a kid asked me something in the morning and they said, "Wait a minute, isn't that room down here?" And I looked at him and I said, "Bro, I was in Chicago 12 hours ago." And the kid just smiled. He was like, oh, "Okay," and walked away. But
Okay.
other than that, I just kind of put I can I've been teaching. This is my 16th year, so I can usually just game face myself for long enough until I can take a quick break and then go right back to it.
Tony had a similar experience coming home from Denver after Team Mexico. He had like 3 hours of sleep, and he said he was in his classroom and they were trying to recruit kids for strings, and he was like, the band teacher kept putting him to sleep. uh,
I like it.
yeah, you guys deserve a medal for sure.
Sorry, I muted myself there. I was talking. But I was saying that's got to be an interesting. So you go from all the trash talk and everything else, and there's definitely no PG language out there to going back to that kid's mindset has got to be a very interesting. What age do you teach?
I teach high school,
Okay, so at
so
least it's not a
yeah, just
huge jump. You're not dealing with kindergartners like the
uh,
morning after.
no. But to be fair, I mean, I teach high school. I teach ninth grade and 12th grade, and then on Thursday evenings, I coach my 7-year-old son's U8 soccer team. So there's a lot of interaction with kids of different ages. And for the record, I almost never talk trash on the field. I'm not saying that my teammates don't, but as a
Oh,
goalie, I'm always a little,
we know they
yeah,
do.
yeah. I've never heard anything about that, Rachel. Our boys are just they're quoting the Bible over there. But
Yeah.
I've always been a little bit afraid to talk trash as a goalie because it makes me feel so vulnerable. Because if I make a save on somebody and then I bark something at them and then they bang a corner, I just have to stand there and take it when they do it to me. So a lot
That's
of
true.
times, like I revel in the fact, and it happened a couple of times at nationals where I'd get a save, and one way or another I'd get a save, and I could hear the offensive players some sort of angry or some sort of expression of disgust or something, and it was like, you know what, that's about all I'll ever need.
That's smart. That's smart because you do have to just stand there. You can't go back
Oh
to the
yeah,
bench.
I'm out there by myself
Where to
while
hide for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely out there on an island, and that is a tough thing as a goal. Do you guys travel with two goalies?
Yes, we do. Tyler Schwegler is a goalie on our team as well.
Yeah, that's out of you goalies. That's such a unique position. It's unlike anything else because you guys. What is your weirdest superstition?
I don't really have any superstitions. I
You're
mean, I
not.
guess I'm not superstitious. I'm a little bit stitious, but I'm not like superstitious. But like I know somebody called the Michael Scott line in there. But I have OCD when I play goalie and at no other time in my life. So if you see me like turning around and kicking the posts, that none of that's an accident. If I'm like looking around at Columbia this year, our home rink, during the national anthem, I would count the stars on the flag. And I did it before every game because I think I let my eyes wander up there once and then the game went really well. And I said, well, God, I can't not do that again. And then by the end of this, I'm like, all right, I got a problem. Like, I need to be there extra time early because of it. But yeah, I don't really have any superstitions, but I definitely have like little things that because you're back there in the goal, and a lot of times, when our guys have the ball, I'm just there's a million things going through my mind because your heart rate is heightened and you're really in like a heightened sense of awareness, and there's just a lot going on. So I find myself just doing weird random things.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean is like you notice goalies all have weird. They touch the pipe. Like Dougie Jamieson plays for the Firewolves. He goes back and he headbutts the pipe every time, and then he goes and touches like the two, and there's always these weird little like nuances or things. Like you said, you count the stars. I had a goalie who used to, after every goal, he'd have to go back and he'd touch his the inside of his skates to the post. His butt would just have to touch the pipe in the back, and then he'd go all the way out and one C back. And if he didn't land where he was supposed to, it'd throw the whole thing off, and he'd have to start over again.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want that to happen. You don't want to ruin the whole mojo.
No, that definitely it sounds like a bad, it just sounds like a bad time waiting to happen. So, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you do essentially for the whole year? You guys play, but do you ever do anything like as you were becoming a better box lacrosse goalie? Because that's for most people. I was really excited when we got the goalie because that's the biggest issue is finding a goalie in a lot of these places that don't have box lacrosse.
Sure. Yeah, it's a tough commitment. I mean, you have awesome people like Rich who are building bags of equipment for younger goalies to try out. I got lucky because, legend Jimmy Cappuccioni and Hunter Francis, another legend, not just local in the entire U.S. lacrosse, had amassed enough extra gear to give me a shot. And if they didn't have that around, I might have just gotten passed on the first time I got asked to play, and I might have never really picked up box, or I might have tried to be a forward or something like that. But yeah, just the pads are difficult. If a young goalie who can play field, who has a chance to play box, if they have a chance to just borrow a set of pads and give it a shot, that's something they should really try and do. It doesn't perfectly make you a better field goalie, at least in my. I mean, I haven't played field in 2 years, but when I did play field, I found that field goalie skills and box goalie skills for me didn't translate all that well. Where it's not like if you're a field offensive player and you're an offensive player in box, it definitely helps. You get tougher, you learn how to soak checks, you learn how to play better angles. But in box lacrosse, I mean, I'm sure if you notice, if you watch me play, if the shot's below my shoulders, I'm butterflying as much as I can. And I found myself when I tried to play field after playing box for a whole year, just stepping down and then trying to come back up as opposed to staying tall. So it's difficult. It's kind of a difficult sell with the younger goalies that are trying to play box and somebody who wants to step in because I don't think it's the most transferable skill set. And I mean the pads are just somewhat cost prohibitive. Like, let's call it what it is. They're
Hugely.
really expensive.
Yeah, and we've got Holland Oates in the comments wondering who is your favorite NLL team and player, and if it's not a goalie, I'd like to know who your favorite goalie is.
Oh, I love it. My favorite NLL player. Um, I think it's got to be a goal. It's got to be Dylan Ward. I almost said Matt. It used to be Matt Vince. I love Matt Vince is incredible, but I love the way that Dylan Ward plays the higher arc and he stands up a little bit taller. I kind of tried to do that myself, and I just and absolute props for being at the highest level in indoor and the highest level in outdoor. That's just something else. But I don't really have a favorite NLL team because there's not. I mean, I love watching the Wings, but anytime I get to watch NLL on TV, I'm happy.
Doesn't really matter. Yeah. Now, I was going to say that Dylan Ward makes sense because as you were talking about how do your defense and the way you build the wall and stop that backslide with the far out shots on the Spirits, that was a big thing. You do take that high arc, and that's one of my favorite things is just watching the different goalie styles. And that's honestly, if I had one complaint, I would almost like stop time for the championship game just because that's you kind of see those little nuances between as you're adjusting to teams a little more. I mean, and obviously it's the way the tournament is. It's you're trying to fit it in. I don't know if guys would even have the legs for that on top of it. But those little things in the way teams attack everybody, and that's something you get with the 7 game series too, which is obviously something we're not. It's just not feasible for most of us to be able to go stay somewhere for a month at a time and play nationals tournament while you have best of 7 game
Maybe
series.
one day.
Maybe
Maybe one
someday.
day.
And if anybody wants to
It would
cover
be
my
fun.
cost, I'll gladly go do it. But
Maybe we could eventually get into like a man cup situation one day where we could do the 7 game series.
Yeah,
We got
that
a
would
lot
be.
of hopes over here, Greg. We got a lot of hopes.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Well, that is really, if you think about what this NABLL does for a lot of guys, it is kind of your chance to go do the thing that you may. I mean, how many guys get to say they stopped a shot from Neil Paulus? I mean, last year Brian got to say that. How many NLL legends has he gotten to stop as somebody who's never? Yeah, have you ever stepped on a pro field? I'm guessing, Brian. You kind of sounded
No.
like you would. Yeah, I was gonna say you made it sound like you had just kind of been doing it with the arrow. So I didn't want to insult you if that was the case. But I mean, you have literally gotten to stop several guys that have been in and out of the several Hall of Fames. That's got to be pretty cool. And then like even getting the two coaches for the Spirits. You had Mike Benedict and Travis Cook. I mean, and they're both in several Canadian and Hall of Fames all over the place. I mean, that's I think the biggest thing this league does. It gives everybody a chance to get more playing experience, and that's how, especially as a goalie, I will say thank you because it's when you guys show up is when people can have pickup. Do you guys do pickup nights or organized practices? How do the Wild do it?
Yeah, we tend to do a practice every week, and we practice on an outdoor rink, and it's pretty awesome. It's sport court, and it's outdoor and it's the summer, so it's crazy hot. But if it rains, we can't practice out there just because it gets really slippery. So we try to have practice every week, and just one night, and then we probably this summer ended up having practice probably two a month. And each one we can usually get about 75% of the players in the team to show up. And nobody just really blows it all for anything. Like it's everybody kind of wanted to get out there and play, but it's really nice. And everyone, probably once or twice a month, somebody will throw something up into group me and say, "Hey, I'm going to go to Alpha to shoot around." And if I see that, and if I'm able to, I jump on it every single time because I'll go out and get a couple hundred shots because I know that I'm not exact. I feel like I'm playing like I'm in the prime of my career, but I'm 38. So if I don't work to stay sharp, I'm fighting father time against my career here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like anything else. The more experience you get, the more time you get. I mean, as like just with this tournament, you could tell this was not their first year. Last year you were like, okay, as we're getting through everything, it's holding on. But this year, much more prepared into it. Nothing replaces experience, which is what I think this league provides more than anything. Now, do you guys have cuts or tryouts or anything, or how do you guys like do it? Is it really just the core group and they take an occasional outcast like you in?
It's actually a really good way to say it. It's literally what happened to me anyway. But yeah, they've had the core group, the last few years, and they had a pretty similar group in the IBLA. But then between IBLA and the first season of NABLL, I was able to get in, and then I think we added Joel Tinney and Mike Adler, not this year but last year. Those two guys are incredible ads, and we added some other new guys, Brendan Mullally. We added Sean Riley at the end from the Arrows, and he came and played with us, fit right in like a glove. But yeah, we have had to tell guys that we don't quite think we could offer you a roster spot right now. Like if you kind of, if you wanted to stick around with us and come to practice and be there with us, you can. But we have a roster limit. We're 20-2 on the roster, so we would love to have everybody come out and play and develop. But I mean, the games we play are 60-minute. I think they're 60-minute games. Like those games are crazy long, and the Columbia ice rink was hot this year.
It was
The
warm.
Columbia, yeah, I had to buy an ice vest because I thought they were going to need to push me out of that place on with the Zamboni one day. It had to be in the 80s in there. And it was just humid. It was a hot summer. It tends to happen in hot summer. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
we needed every bit of that 20-person roster.
yeah, no, I just love that. I've yet to hear a team that cuts somebody off and doesn't let them come do the practices and stuff because that's how you end up getting your new guys. Is everybody keeps showing up to practice and then the next thing you know, you got somebody who's developed into a next level player. But it's been an hour. I can't believe it. So we got to see the three highlights. Now, I guess basically we didn't talk about most of the stuff that I told you we were going to talk about, which was how you started playing box lacrosse and going up through it. But that's kind of how these shows always happen. But essentially, you started playing. We'll go through your high school career up real quick, and we'll try to wrap it up on that, and then we'll end with
Yeah,
like national thoughts from the smart people on the right.
sounds good. Yeah, I graduated high school from Howard High School in Howard County, Maryland, in 2002. I went to Howard Community College for 2 years, and then I went to Seton Hill University, go Griffins, Division II in Greensburg, PA. Graduated, left there with my teaching degree in 2008. Been teaching in Baltimore County ever since. I'll teach here until I retire. But I started playing box lacrosse. I got just a random call, I think 2 or 3 years after I graduated, and I was back home. And they said, we have a new team from the Howard community guys, and they need a goalie. And they said you can talk to this woman, and she'll loan you some pads. And then I played a couple of games, that I think 5 or 6 games in the Bill, the Baltimore Indoor Lacrosse League, now run by Larry Fila. And I played there that season, got stomped. Played in the pickup indoor or winter season, got stomped, and then I wasn't able to get back into that league for I think 3 or 4 years because they just didn't have room. They had goalies, and they had professional quality goalies, guys like Eric Miller, who played professional for a long time, played for Team USA. His brother Adam Miller, Larry Fila was playing, Ginny was playing, all incredible players. I was just on the outside of the window, just looking in, like, hey guys, got room for one more, and they didn't. So, but luckily, I think somebody moved, somebody retired, and I was able to get in with Team Portside, and I've been playing and I run Portside now with some awesome guys. Sean Nadalin, the coach for Towson University, plays with us. He's an awesome guy. He's the nicest person in the world, but he will still staple you to the boards if you're near him. It's one of his greatest qualities. But yeah, so I've probably been playing box, and then I got into I played with Marty Joyner, who's our incredible head of official, or one of our top officials. Marty ran a league, the NABLL, in Northern Virginia for several years, and I played up in there at that league, and that was great. Hour from my house, but I was there every Saturday. Played with Scotty forever. Scotty Joyner plays on my courtside team now. So I really enjoy playing indoor. I mean, it's just a ton of fun. And being able to jump onto the wild. I asked Brady out of nowhere. I texted him and I said, look, man, I said, I love all the Arrows guys. I said, but would you have room for me if I could come over to your team? And he was just like, it was like the confetti popped out of the phone. He was so happy, and I thought it was really cool that they all knew each other, and they just kind of opened the door and rolled out the red carpet like I was one of them from day one. And I mean, they're great lacrosse players, even better guys, and that says a lot about all of their characters. And I've just been a wild guy for the last 2 years, and I'll rock it till the wheels fall off, which hopefully isn't too soon. But whenever I'm done, Tyler Schwegler is 25 or 26. He's going to step right in, and there's not going to be any gap. I think he's going to be better than I am anyway.
That's an awesome statement, and they always say it's a best, it's a sport best learned passed down. So getting to watch it, getting the experience, get the reps in practice. Were you a field goalie? I have to ask, or were you one of those? Are you one of those crazy field goalies without the leg guards too, standing out there just letting people rip shots at your shins?
Yeah, I used to do that. Now it's like I don't I still feel like I got hit by a truck right now, but it's not because of shots. It's just because of playing 5 games, and I only have a couple little bumps and bruises from shots. Our guys looked like they were going to need to be. They looked like it was like a Civil War hospital at the end of that last game. I mean, guys were just taking two-handers across the wrist, getting slashed in the legs. I mean, that Thousand Island is a tough team, and we knew it. We knew it going in. That, like, boys, buckle up. It's gonna be tough. You're just gonna have to weather the storm and play lacrosse and not get caught up in the toughness. Because the toughness isn't on the scoreboard.
No, you summed it up perfectly there because you have to be able to be tough enough to handle it, but you got to be able to score, and you can't completely take yourself out of it. And you see that with a lot of the teams I cover. They're defensively, when they're doing good, the other team wants to fight, and it's because their defensive strategy worked. They got them all pissed off, and that's guys are like, oh, that's a bunch of assholes. It's like, no, oh, sorry, I swore, but it's like that's what happens when you're when you're trying to make the offensive guy mad, you're trying to get him off his game. You're going to do what you can to get him out. You don't want somebody standing in front of your crease. You'd have a word with your defenseman if he just left somebody alone out there and nobody was trying to cover him. So, I mean, it is, yeah, no, the physicality, the game I thought was amazing. From my perspective, most of the games were awesome. We couldn't have asked for any more fireworks leading right up to championship day, though. I mean, we had a shootout coming down to the end. I guess we'll start with you, Rich. What was your takeaway on Nationals other than my NDI thing? Because I thought I was going to have all of Rich's interviews come across to my computer, which I think I figured out the problem with. So next year we'll have it fixed.
Next year we'll have it all figured out. We had this whole plan, Brian. We were going to go live on the sidelines and we were going to interview the coaches and players. I had this like handheld. We were going to roll up on everybody, and then
bought an app, bought a microphone, and everything.
Like, it's not working. I don't know what to tell you, Rich. And I was like, I brought like all my old iPhones, and none of them would work. So, anyways, it was fun. I think we've already like sat down and talked about doing more media, more fun with it. Maybe a media room next year, player interviews, headshots. Trying to do special things for the players. I think like this is our one like opportunity every year to come together and like highlight everybody. And like not everybody's gonna be.
I like the headshots, so like we could run that in between the periods. Just who you are, where you're from, each one, boom, 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 and then you play it just like the NFL. Who you are, and they could say where they went to high school, where they played in college. Yeah, see, Rich, you're all over that stuff. You're a genius.
I just like the idea that like I know that. Like we just have so few of these moments where we can humanize it. It's about way more than lacrosse, right? This is our community. This is our platform. This is like kind of how we have fun with it. And like, like I kind of think it'd be cool to do a Monday Night Football, let the guys have a little bit of fun with it. They can say where they're from, they can do, their haka or whatever, like they can do their thing and we can save it. And all of those things, by the way, help us sell advertisements. They help get eyeballs, from bigger places around the country, these other leagues that are looking for players. These are the things that help us elevate from a beer league to really like a more professional league that we're all trying to accomplish. So I think like Nationals was awesome. I think, we accomplished a ton. There's a lot more work to do. We have a lot of plans. So I'm just very excited. So.
Rachel, I don't think I've ever heard you be this quiet. I'm sorry. We all kind of talked the entire time right over the top of you, but we will definitely let you end the show here, Rachel. What were your thoughts? I mean, obviously we know you were super excited, but what was your biggest takeaway, I guess? And
You might have noticed I talked to roughly everyone that was there this weekend. So like I love listening to what Brian has to say. It's always like I love hearing the player perspective. So I'm not mad that I was quiet. I'll just come on again by myself and talk the whole time. No. I had such a good time. My perspective is obviously wildly different than everyone else. I am the girl. But I am so proud to like say my boys. And when I say my boys, I mean like all 1,300 of them, because it's so easy to talk about this league with pride. And it is so easy to talk about our like big dreams for the future, because we have such incredible people. Like I love my job. I love being able to talk to these guys and hear what they have to say. The Nationals was incredible. It was so much fun. And a lot of the people that we're working with, like professionally and organizationally, that aren't lacrosse people, I have to be like, it's so rough on the field. Like you're going to watch them play and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, these guys are terrible. And they're not. Like they're so lovely off the field. I'm like, they leave it on the floor and they come off. I'm like, they're so kind to me and like smile for my silly selfies. And I have just wonderful conversations with them about everything from like lacrosse to like, what are your kids doing next week? Like it's such a gift to be able to give people that were athletes a place to keep competing. Because if you grew up as an athlete, it's part of you. It's like, it's part of what drives you. And there's so few opportunities as an adult to like still have that team and like, and this end goal that we have, this nationals, like to be able to just keep competing. And like I feel so lucky that like these guys took a chance on the girl. Like I I love my job and I love hanging out with these guys. And like I said, it's so easy to talk with pride about what we're doing because it's incredible. So I'm, again, 0% disappointed, and Rich can tell you I don't say that very often.
I don't think there was much to be disappointed with. I absolutely loved it. Sorry I covered you up, Brian, but you know, Tim I think made me these super nice graphics, and I was like, I didn't show them at all. We had them on the lead up to the show, but here was the rankings in case anybody missed it. I have to say though, huge shout out to Paper City and Thousand Island Spirits. Both brand new teams. It's not like they had an advantage of even coming from another league. You're playing against teams that have been established. So to be able to make it to the Nationals against the established teams that Thousand Islands and Paper City did, that is absolutely, I think it's a huge, shout out to them to get through the Salt City Eels, to get past the Utica Yeti for them, and then for Paper City to get past two of the top five and the Northman and the Cambridge. It wasn't, everybody knows it wasn't because that's a soft division. It's because, like I said, everybody out there, and Brian said it as well, everybody in their division, belongs out there in the top 10. There's so much parity in this league. And the teams that maybe don't quite have quite the box lacrosse knowledge, it's catching up fast. I mean, because for the most part, you're talking about it's all adults. You're not having these kids that are going to turn into super athletes. Everybody basically knows what they are by now. So, I mean, you get a couple new young athletes in. Occasionally, you can get a couple kids, but I'm sure Brian can attest to it too. There's not a lot of new guys that stick around with the physicality, as you're trying to talk field players into it. You got to be somebody who's into, like Rich said, you got to be a little different. You're getting the multi-sport, you're getting a football player, you're getting a hockey guy, you're getting somebody who likes all the sports and also wants to bang around. I wish I found this years ago, but now we've went 10 minutes over our hour mark that we're supposed to go to. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you very much, everybody I can say, Brian, amazing job. I personally appreciate all the work that all you players put in, because without you guys, I'm just sitting there talking to myself, and it would look really silly. Rachel and Rich, thanks for all the shenanigans, because I hate all the board work and the paperwork stuff. As you guys know, dealing with me, Charity sends an invoice, but other than that, I'm just going to call you, tell you what I want. I'm not really great with paperwork. And yeah, you guys, huge shout out to every GM for every team. Thank you very much, because without you, this league doesn't exist. And yeah, we'd all be just kind of sitting here talking to ourselves, watching nothing.
Another successful year free of painter's tape, my friend.
Free. Thank you, Greg, though, because the stream, people around the country just love being able to see what we're doing. So thank you for facilitating this, but that really is an important part of the event. So shout out to you right back.
Awesome. I love it. Actually, Charity gets all the credit on that one. Thank you, Charity Beecher, because your job sucks. I just get to watch lacrosse. Have a good night, everybody.
Beltway Lacrosse, proud supporter of the NABLL, wishing all the teams good luck at Nationals. Looking forward to lots more indoor and outdoor lacrosse in 2024. Beltway is the unrivaled adult lacrosse provider in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Quick salute to our players from the Cannons, Arrows, Bears, and Wild on a great summer. Hello to our college players watching from the dorms. Our NCBS division has grown rapidly. Look for more box lacrosse from Gales, Grays, and Chesapeake Bird Dogs. Driving the Beltway for the best in skiffs, the corner, and 1864 would like to wish the Thousand Island Spirits the best of luck at Nationals. It's been a blast having the team as part of our downtown family this season. Don't worry, boys, we'll keep the champagne on ice. Fans, next time you are in Alexandria Bay, New York, please visit one of these fine restaurants. Proud sponsor of the NABLL 2023 National Championship sponsor.